Hello everyone. Recently I made a video about what an RTX 3090 is capable of at the beginning of 2024. In this video I mentioned that with the price of a used 3090, you could get a new RTX 4070. As a selling point for the 4070, I mentioned that it features DLSS 3-frame generation. However, recently I came across a mod that makes FSR 3-frame generation available with DLSS on all RTX GPUs, so I thought of comparing NVIDIA's official solution with this solution. But before that, let's take a look at what DLSS exactly is, how it differs from AMD's solution, what is available on your GPU, and which one you should use. DLSS is available on NVIDIA graphics cards. NVIDIA RTX cards have tensor cores which are dedicated to handling artificial intelligence. DLSS stands for Deep Learning Supersampling, a process that uses AI to upscale the displayed image. Supersampling technology has been around for a while. Its essence is rendering frames at a higher resolution than the display, for example rendering in 4K for a full HD monitor, and then scaling it down to the appropriate size. This puts a significant extra load on the GPU in terms of performance, but achieves a quality of anti-aliasing that other techniques cannot match. DLSS, however, works differently. Instead of rendering at a higher resolution, it uses a neural network to predict how the image should look at a higher resolution. This reduces the load on the GPU because the neural network has been trained on large datasets to more efficiently upscale the frames during gameplay. So if you have a 4K TV or monitor with DLSS, you can set your GPU to render the game in full HD and then scale it up to the native resolution of your monitor or TV. DLSS was first announced in 2019. The RTX 20 series was the first lineup to support this feature. Initially, it only worked with specific games, requiring NVIDIA to train the network through these games and then distribute the information to users via driver updates. With DLSS 2.0, NVIDIA expanded the training to encompass general gaming content, allowing for faster updates to reach users. With this solution, you can achieve results almost identical to native resolution while rendering only half the pixels on the GPU. Since then, the RTX 30 and 40 series cards have been released, along with new versions of DLSS, the latest being 3.5. However, with the release of the RTX 40 series, the situation became a bit more complicated. While DLSS AI-based upscaling is available on all previously mentioned cards, DLSS image generation is exclusive to the 40 series. Additionally, ray reconstruction is now available for ray-traced games on all RTX cards, offering a better visual experience compared to traditional noise filtering methods. So, looking at this table, we can see that only frame generation is RTX 40 exclusive. DLSS frame generation works by computing every other frame with the GPU and interpolating the intermediate frames based on two actually computed frames. While this doesn't burden the processor or the GPU, it introduces significant latency because the system has to wait for the intermediate frames to be generated. NVIDIA Reflex technology can reduce this latency. Therefore, I didn't recommend this feature for multiplayer games in previous videos. For AMD, FSR, or Fidelity Super Resolution, achieve similar performance to DLSS based on measurements, but using a different technology. AMD approached it from the software side, so there are no special hardware requirements. Interestingly, this means that this feature is available on every card, whether it's Intel or NVIDIA. The first version used spatial upscaling, while newer versions use temporal upscaling. This means that instead of increasing the image or video in the spatial dimensions by adding more pixels, the system now takes into account the previous and next rendered frames to improve the resolution of the current frame. This is very similar to NVIDIA's solution, with the difference, as mentioned earlier, that tensor cores are not required. Thus, implementing FSR is relatively straightforward for games that support DLSS or scaling procedures based on temporal upscaling technology. With the latest FSR version, AMD has introduced FSR 3. Essentially, it redirects the image that would appear on the monitor, compares it with what has already appeared, and creates a new image between them. This also increases latency, but AMD's own feature, similar to Reflex called anti-lag, can be used to reduce it. Regarding latency, if your game runs at 60 FPS, there's a 16.6 millisecond time interval between each frame. Doubling it to 120 FPS reduces the latency to 8.3 milliseconds. The higher your FPS, the faster you see new information on the screen, allowing you to react more quickly. Higher frame rates don't make you a better player, but they ensure that you perform at your best. So the real advantage of higher FPS lies in overall lower latency. There's some latency between frames, but the latency across the entire PC can be more noticeable. This can be divided into system latency, which is the time it takes for an action, for example, a click, to result in something appearing on the screen, and PC latency, which is the time it takes for the PC to receive the input and send the frame, ignoring the latency of input devices and the monitor. NVIDIA's Reflex service can improve this combined PC latency with various optimizations. So, frame generation provides extra frames, reducing latency. But why did I say I don't recommend image generation for multiplayer games? Because in practice, your GPU renders 2 frames with image generation. The first frame is displayed, but before the second one is shown, the artificial frame generation process you see must be completed and displayed. As a result, you may see the second rendered frame later than you would normally, resulting in additional latency. In story-oriented games, this doesn't matter much, as we gain much more from the extra frames than we lose from latency. In my experience, if your base frame rate reaches 45, 50 FPS, you can still play comfortably with image generation turned on using a keyboard and mouse combo. If it's lower, it might be bothersome, so it's better to use a controller, as the latency is less noticeable. Returning to DLSS and FSR, one similarity between the two technologies is that after activation, you can adjust the resolution of the rendered image. In both cases, you can choose between auto, quality, balance, performance, and ultra-performance modes. Auto attempts to find a resolution that provides the highest refresh rate for your monitor. Quality provides 67% resolution compared to native. This translates to 1440p for 4K. Balanced provides 59%. This is 2259 x 1270 for 4K. Performance offers 50%. This means full HD at 4K, Ultra Performance offers 33%. That's 720p. As for which solution is better and which one you should use if you have a choice between the two, the Hardware Unboxed video can provide an answer. I'll link it in the description. It's worth watching, but summarizing, this chart shows that NVIDIA's solution came out as the winner almost everywhere, with AMD at best achieving a tie, but only at 4K. Okay, now that we know everything about both manufacturers' solutions, let's go back to our original topic: how to access frame generation with DLSS on every RTX card. To do this, we first need to download this mod. I'll link the availability in the description, along with the sources mentioned in the introduction. On this interface, you can see that this mod can be used with any game officially supporting NVIDIA frame generation and only works with RTX graphics cards. However, I mean all RTX 20 and 30 series cards. You'll find instructions on how to install and uninstall the mod, and you can also donate to the creator. After downloading the 2 DLL files, you need to copy them into the folder of the game you want to use the mod with. Then double-click on the registry-changing file to convince the game and Windows that your graphics card supports image generation. And that's it. When you start the game, you'll see that DLSS frame generation has become available in the menu with an RTX 3090 in the system. If you turn it on, it won't use NVIDIA's official solution, but the modded FSR 3 version. So, with the help of AI, you can use a much higher quality scaling, along with AMD's image generation. I'm amazed by how good the quality of this mod is and how similar it is to NVIDIA's official solution. In the remaining part of the video, you can compare it during gameplay. On the right, the factory image generation runs with an RTX 4080, and on the left, the modded one runs with an RTX 3090. I'm curious about your opinions as well, so if you've tried it, write in the comments if you've encountered any issues or if there are any games where you feel it doesn't work. And if you'd like to see similar content in the future, let us know with the usual like and subscribe combo.